Good morning. Another lovely day in Suffolk. This morning we are in Levington and we are going to be walking through the village, up across the estuary and looking out towards the docks off the Orwell River. We're also going to visit St Peter Church and also the Ship Inn. It's going to be a lovely walk, approximately 3 to 4 miles. So let's go see what we can see. Levington has lots to offer. It has some history. It's a very unassuming little village. Let's explore. Levington has played an important part in some of Suffolk's industrial history. There was coprolite discovered in a crag at Felixstowe in the early 1840s, and that became much sought after as a mineral for the manufacture of superphosphate, and that was a new fertiliser of the 19th century. A Suffolk farmer first discovered the fertilising value of the Suffolk red crag, and for that I refer to John Kirby of Wickham Market. There's no need really for me to explain that Edmund Edwards' discovery was soon broadcast throughout the southeast of Suffolk. This is Stratton Hall, and this is approximately where the coprolite was found. Large quantities were soon carried and scattered over the heaths and sheep walks where the soil had always been hungry and inadequately fed. And that has come from a Fyson's journal in the 1930s. So we're going to follow on down and go into Levington village and visit the church. What a beautiful morning, look at that sky. It's supposed to be raining, but thankfully we've dodged it. I have just come to the top of the hill. As you drive into Levington, there is quite a steep hill, and as you hit the brow of that hill, this is what you see. This is all farmland. This is some of the farmland of Home Farm. They have farms that spread far and wide. Look at this beautiful morning. You can hear the cows in the background mooing away. We're just past them in the field. As you can see, I'm on the top of this hill, and this is the other side of the road, and this is that beautiful meadow that looks out. So farmland on one side and the beautiful meadow on the other. We're going to continue on down the hill into the village. We're just coming to the bottom of that second hill and coming into Levington proper. Just continuing on, Fyson's were one of Suffolk's major fertiliser companies. It started its business in this area and set up offices in Levington in the 1950s. 100 years or so after the coprolite industry began. They were very much involved in the diggings and manure fertiliser processing business. back up another hill. When they were taken over by Yara, that's Y-A-R-A, a web page on their history was included on their site, so it's worth taking a look. If you're interested in seeing the old Fisons building, or one of them, you can see the old ghost signs on the Ipswich waterfront on one of their buildings. I have a few photographs that I've taken over time. This is where we've come from. How beautiful is this? If you wanted to visit, if you go to Ipswich waterfront and look across towards Haven Marina, and it's quite visible. So it is worth a visit if you're in that direction. But I will include some photographs. We're going to continue on now and walk down to the Church of St. Peter. This is such a pretty village. I often visit. As you can see, the sign for Stratton Hall, where the copronite was found. And you can see the sign for Levington. There's quite a mix of buildings here. Some go back to the 14th century, some probably earlier. And then there's some new builds. See the church just ahead on our left. Proudly flying the flag. I love to see that. Squirrel out getting his breakfast. So here we are at St. Peter's Church. Let's have a little wander around. St. Peter is located almost beside the ship pub, which we will visit next. I love this churchyard. I'm going to have a wander around the churchyard. The path stops at the church door, so I'm sure they won't mind us walking around on the grass. This has a lovely churchyard. I don't know who keeps the grounds, but they do an absolutely fabulous job. And there are some recent gravestones in here. This is an unassuming little church. Its red brick tower is very familiar. The tower was under construction by the 1470s. And then in 1487, Margaret Hammond of nearby Trimley village left half a noble to the hanging of the bells in the steeple, and that would suggest that it was completed by that date. There is a date of 1636 on the side of the tower that remembers the reconstruction of the bell stage at that time. And that's what gave it that 17th century feel. And the tower was built against the church, which seems to have given it that 14th century feel. And it's rendered with white, which is actually lovely because you can see it from the river. You can see the pub. That's how close they are. So if you come into Levington and you can't find the church or the pub, there's a problem. Now this attractive timbered south porch has been converted into a vestry, and so unusually for Suffolk, you enter the church through the west doorway beneath the tower. Look how beautiful this churchyard is. The church has beautiful, simple brick floors which enhance its simplicity. That is beautiful. Look at that. Look at that history standing right before you. It has a font which is believed to be of the late 15th century, and that probably arrived around the same time as the tower. And it has a 17th century silver oak cover. We are back round to the front again. I'm pretty sure that the church is open, but I am not going to film inside of churches out of respect, unless of course I was given permission to do so. I do have photographs from previous visits, and I say visits because I have been in this church many times, so I will include those. The pulpit inside the church is in keeping with the font cover, and it has a rustic 19th century benches that face the sanctuary, which is facing the 17th century wood panelling, and that is said to have been brought here from nearby Brightwell Hall. So let's go to the far end of the churchyard and just let's have a little wander. I hope you can hear the trees rustling. There is a slight little bit of a breeze this morning. It was supposed to rain. I think it rained overnight, but I'm glad we're dodging it this morning. The parish of Levington sits to the extreme south east of Suffolk and forms part of Suffolk's North Sea coast, close to the Orwell. This is a bench at the end of the churchyard. What a splendid view. Back in the day, the nearby estuary would have provided opportunities for fishing, shell fishery and wildfowling, while the interior of the village is very much arable farmland. And today there are marinas dotted along the coast, so it's a very different view when you come upriver. And just as a note, there was actually a Viking ship found here in Levington. I'll add a little history about that. We are going to exit the churchyard through another gate, and that gate will bring us out just by the pub, and we'll have a chat about the pub. Just want to show you what a fabulous view there is from the churchyard. Look at that, right out over the Orwell. We're going to exit through this gate and we will come out right beside the pub. This is the Ship Inn, and it's described as an ancient smuggler's inn overlooking the River Orwell. The building is an original Tolly Cobbold pub and dates back to the 14th century. I have frequented this place very many times because I have walked this estuary very many times. Just waiting for the delivery man to turn his vehicle round. This beautiful little inn would have no doubt seen plenty of activity back in the day, with smugglers making easy route from the river with their ill-gotten gains. Historic England's website provides the following information. A public house of the 17th century. A rare example of an aisled whorehouse of modest status, greatly altered from the 16th century onwards. 1 story and attics, by the 7th century converted into a 3-cell house, retaining the rear aisle only. Timber framed and rough cast, thatched roof with internal chimney of red brick. In the 19th century, lead-clad dormers with small pane sash windows. 19th century entrance doors. It's a shame that this beautiful building has unfortunately been no stranger to fire, as it suffered a really severe blaze in the 1980s, and then again in 2001, and most recently in 2019, when much of the roof was engulfed in flames. I'll see if I am able to use some of the uncopyrighted photographs that have been posted on websites. If I can, I'll include them so you can see the damage that was done to this pub. But thankfully, it was rebuilt because it is such a huge part of the Levington community. At the time of that fire, there were 20 engines and appliances from across the county of Suffolk at the scene, and crews were seen stripping the roof using breathing apparatus and ladders to try and save the inn. And it looks like they did a pretty good job, wouldn't you say? I mean, it has been re-roofed, so that's not the original roof, but we have saved the building, and that's fabulous. Just going to have a little walk round the back so you can see it. This is a beautiful pub. You can actually see the old ship's beams on the inside. It has now been taken over by Deben Inns since the fire. It has a fabulous little garden outside, and that has actually been extended because it only had a few tables at one point, but that just shows you how popular this lovely little pub is. And it has ample parking at the rear, and they do encourage you to come here and do the walks along the estuary, and that's exactly what we are going to do. We're going to walk along the estuary. We're going to walk through and let you see possibly the route the smugglers would have taken. Morning. We have crossed the road from the ship. I'm just going to turn around and show you. That's the pub. This is the walkway. This is a lovely walk. Nice and peaceful. Good to bring your dog. Good to bring the kids. Good to just get out and see your surroundings. If you're visiting, what a wonderful place to visit. Come to the pub, park up, have a little wander, go back, have a lovely lunch in the pub. They will not disappoint. So if you drive in, you can park in the car park at the ship at the back. As you saw, there is ample parking. Well, how unfortunate is this? The footpath that I was going to show you down to the estuary today has been closed by Suffolk County Council so that they can replace the boardwalks, which is a shame. So we will take a different route, hopefully down to the estuary, and I can show you where we are. You can see where they have people out there working on replacing the boardwalks. I guess they get a little slippery, but that would be the route that we would take. We would go down this path, following the fence, right down where you can see the tractors and along, right up there to the estuary. It's a very simple walk, but unfortunately we can't do that today. So we're going to just take a different route. Not a big deal. We might find something even better. It is quite windy today, so I apologise in advance for the excessive wind noise. As we had an unexpected diversion. This walk could be shorter or longer, depending on where the route takes us. Looks like we may have to backtrack today, because this would have been the route back. That's fine. We'll go up, we'll have a look out on the estuary, and we'll turn around and we'll come back. This is Levington Lagoon. This is part of the nature reserve. It's very important to the area. So if you do come out with Pooch, you know what dogs are like for exploring. They do love to run off, roll in the mud. It'll be good to keep them on a lead while you're coming through this area, because we don't want to disturb the lagoon. It's doing a fantastic job all on its own. Turn around and show you the views. How could you not enjoy this? First thing in the morning, come out, turn the TV off. Although the docks are a bit of an eyesore, they are equally important to Suffolk. I'm going to turn and show you where we've come from, and another view back over the lagoon, and you can see St Peter's Church just ahead of us. Let's carry on. I'm going to turn now onto the river. You can see the beautiful River Orwell ahead of us. I was lucky enough on Saturday to spend the whole day out on the red sail barge. We sailed down the River Orwell, through the estuary down to Harwich, on the red sail barge, the Thalata. If it's something you would be interested in, I will most certainly attach the information for the Thalata at the end of the video with the details, because they will be releasing next year's dates in October. The barge will go into dry dock to have its regular maintenance and painting to weatherproof it for more sails. Definitely would highly recommend a day out. Had a beautiful lunch, all freshly made by Cheryl, and the boat itself was managed by Cyril. Mike, who manages the trust, would be really happy to hear from you, because all the funds go to keeping the Thalata going. I'm just going to show you, as you can see, quite clearly it says the footpath is closed. You can see the boardwalk. Now that boardwalk runs almost in a straight line right down towards the church and the pub. So it is a very simple walk. You can't get lost, and it brings you up to here. And that's where we have just come from. So we would just walk along there right round, and it would take you back on a circular walk. Now, as an alternative, this walk here would normally be about 3.5 miles. retracing these steps slightly, going around the bend. The lagoon ahead of us this time. I will include a link to the circular walk that is actually provided by Deben Inns. They encourage you to come out, see your surroundings, and I couldn't agree more. As I'm always saying, we live in an absolutely beautiful part of the country, and I meet so many people along my walks, and I receive feedback from my walks where people say, I've lived here all my life and I had no idea that was there. So don't be afraid. Don your best walking footwear. Stick your raincoat in your bag. And go out and explore. Look at this. The sun has come out and is shining across the river and the farms across the way. Again, apologise for the wind, even the sound equipment isn't coping. As you can see, as we're walking, we're on the return leg. You never really lose sight of the church. It's a good landmark, so you can see it's impossible to get lost on this walk. So this is a really good place to start if you're thinking of venturing out. What more could you want? Look at this. Well, the wind has calmed a little. You listen to the lagoon. We are just coming up to the part where we joined the walk because they had blocked off the normal route. Once the boardwalk is finished, and they're probably doing it now because it's the end of summer, so there won't be as many people coming down here. Once it's finished, I will come out again and do the walk in the circular fashion, just to show you how simple it really is. We're almost at the end of the lagoon now, and that will be coming up to the car park, the mini car park that I was referring to. Look at this. Absolutely stunning place to start your day. We are now at about 20 past 8. We started around 7 o'clock. It's been a lovely walk. And follow this through, and we'll see the car park. So it'll give you some reference point. Sun breaking through, chasing the rain away. Was supposed to be thunder showers today. So hopefully we've swerved all of that. And we'll have another beautiful day in sunny Suffolk. This is the car parking area. As you can see, there's probably room for about 6 cars, so not too many. It does have a finger post, but it is also displaying the fact that the boardwalk is closed. So if you go further down, you'll come round to a railway crossing. I have cycled this path on many occasions. This road here, turning left out of the mini car park, will take us back round up to the pub and the church. So, as I say, incredibly difficult to get lost. And I know some circular walks, such as the walk I did in Old Felixstowe, where I used an old guidebook, I think it was from 2011. And so some of the things that were mentioned in the book, despite it being an older part of town, there had been some changes. Not lots, but there had been some changes. And so I went about 1.5 miles out of my way, or off track, should I say. And I'm going to blame myself, not the guidebook, because I probably could have paid more attention. There's one note I will give you. Here we are on Stratton Hall Drift. One note I will give you, and that is, if you are venturing out on a walk, please read the entire walk before you go, because like reading a recipe, if you get halfway through and go, oh, you may find yourself out in the middle of nowhere, and you may feel a little panicked, which is not what we want. We're going to follow this road just up this hill. And then we'll have a ta-da moment, and the church and the pub appear. depending on your walking ability, some may find this hill a little steep. It's nothing shocking. As I said, I've cycled through here and up this hill and have walked up this hill, but you can feel it as you're coming up. So just to advise, if you wanted to just do downhill, you could do the walk in reverse. So as you can see, we're back at the ship. Yeah, you could do the walk in reverse. I'm going to pan round and show you. As I say, not a very steep hill. If you did the walk in reverse, you haven't got to hoof it back up the hill. We're going to go back down through the car park. And this is where we will end our walk today. What a lovely respite to end a beautiful walk at a beautiful 14th century pub in Levington, in Suffolk. They sell fabulous Suffolk ales from Adnams, of Southwold, and Aspel cider, also from Southwold. Really doesn't get any better. If you enjoyed this walk today, please do give it a like. If you'd like to see more walks in Ipswich and surrounding areas and beautiful villages of Suffolk, please subscribe, hit the bell. That way you'll be notified whenever new walks appear. Just giving you a last shot of the church. It's been lovely spending this time with you again today. I hope it encourages you to come out and see exactly what we have. I look forward to seeing you again on another walk.